All right, Mekone turned 48, starting out with a dire portent. That's always good, and it's coming from our primary opponent, TNN. Also a good sign, so I'll have to take a look at what that is. This is one of the ones, for whatever reason, doesn't tell you what it is. And then one of our E4s was attacked by 17 imps. This is one of the fellows who sold his soul, so yeah, good work. He maybe got an additional path of fire. E4s are normally fire too, so we'll see if it's worth it. In theory, he could win. This is one of our guys. He's carrying some of our gems with him. So I guess hopefully he uses them. I would have preferred that he used them in our combat. It's kind of interesting that the imps are just walking. This is unusual. Obviously, they are flyers. I think what is happening here right now, Perpetual Storm is active. And so if you're not a storm flyer, you can't fly in those conditions. So I guess Perpetual Storm even affects the underworld. So he does use those gems. He gets out 2 lesser fire elementals, but you can see like imps, they're size 1, they pack in, we've talked about attack density. They rip them apart really quickly, even though they don't have magic weapons, and fire elementals are ethereal, but enough attacks and it just doesn't matter. Now our guy did manage to get Iron Skin and I believe Temper Flesh on him, so he's gonna be pretty difficult to kill for these imps. You can see he's already taken an affliction. He's a limp, but I mean he just has his fist. So yeah, it's going to be tough for both of these guys to kill each other, both sides, but eventually our E4 does run. He took quite a bit of damage. I think he killed like 1 imp or something. So yeah, 3 imps. Nice. But don't sell your soul is the lesson, I think, here. So that's sad that we're not going to get that guy back. And then we missed with some site searching, and then we declared a prophet. So we're making one of our assassins a prophet. I've heard that stealthy prophets can be useful, so we're going to give that a shot. Yeah, I don't know. And as far as like a prophet assassin goes, maybe the smite spell, depending on your pathing, could actually make for a decent assassin. They aren't normally casters. I don't know about risking your prophet as an assassin. It's kind of a risky business. So anyway, giving it a shot. So we now have a new prophet. And then, we had a battle here cleaning out Calum. This isn't particularly interesting. This is a ton of stuff, and he has mostly pulled out. This is just, the PD. So this is mostly interesting because we have hold and attack, and this battle ends up taking a while. Because you can see at first they're not using gems, and then eventually I think some fire elementals pop out here. Maybe not. Oh no, it was flaming arrows. That's what it was. Yeah, so everybody's got flaming arrows, and we used some gems for that. So, and there's an elemental. It's the earth elemental. So yeah, if a battle takes long enough, I think like normally that would not have triggered gem usage, right? This is not that much stuff, and most of the gem usage happened pretty late in the battle. And definitely their scripts are focused on using the gems earlier. But yeah, I think if the battle goes on long enough, they just start dumping all their gems. Maybe not if you have conservative gem usage. So, but something to consider. And then otherwise, just raiding back and forth right now that Calum is pulling out. TNN is coming back in, although I think, that's good news, sort of. I don't know. That's preferred. So anyway, we take this back against minimal PD. She-Lords doing their thing. Still putting too much PD here. This is never going to stop one of these She-Lords, so I really should just be doing 1 PD. And, same thing here, and then, demons manifesting. So, turmoil scales doing work for us. And then, of course, the demon gate's still active, but luck coming in with some astral pearls, which is nice. And then this is really nice, actually, for luck. So we get a wind master and 2 cloud mages. So I think this guy is an air 2, and these guys are both air 1. Air 1s are, they're okay, but Air 2 is pretty useful, and I mean, they're all mages, and we don't have a ton of mages, so yeah, we'll set them to researching. This is really nice, and this is something you see more with higher luck scales. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a mage join if you have, like, Misfortune 2 or something like that, so something to consider. This can sometimes break you into new paths, too. I mean, we have Air 2, so it's not that big a deal, but it is nice. And then, yeah, we get some extra tax. This is not a particularly valuable province, so this isn't a ton, but still, it's nice. And then, yeah, storm demons take our province. So, and then we finished the walled city, right? So we upgraded it from a palisade. I still can't believe that we pulled this fort off, but here it is. So I guess that was the right play. And then, yeah, some other stuff we don't care about. And so, yeah, so what are we up to? Trying to counter raid. So, we're sending, our Polomark group forward here. And this is our cheap, just taking some of our foul spawn, throwing them onto a commander. This is like definition, like cheap, like budget raiding. This is actually really good. I think I need to do more of this. Like, you definitely want to mix it up, right? Like, this is the kind of squad that, if you're only using like these crappy raiders, then it's going to be really easy for those She-Lords to just hang out in a couple, places and knock out all your counter-raiding squads really quickly. But, if you have a mixture of raiding groups that they need to worry about, and then also just a mixture of garbage to help you take back provinces faster, I think that's probably the way to go. So anyway, created a garbage raiding squad, and this is a more risky area, right, because TNN's capital is closer, so if they ran into resistance, that's okay. And then counter raiding here, similar. This is the upgraded one with the rings of regeneration. Still, no weapon fixing yet. And then, still being a little aggressive here because this is probably one of Kalem's commanders that retreated. But, now that Perpetual Storm is up, assuming another global doesn't go up that interrupts movement, they should be able to make the friendly move and get out. So, and, this is a more... I could move here, right, and take this first, but then I have to move here and double back, and I'm not interested in that. We're just being efficient, retaking stuff. If he gets in the way, well, he gets in the way. So anyway, I think that covers the actual raids. Let's see, we've got a scout sneaking out here, towards Marverny, which we'll talk about in a second. And then, we have another raiding group here, with our 5 Gigantes. And this is definitely pretty light. This one even doesn't have the shock plate, so this guy is going to be vulnerable, to shock damage, which is definitely pretty dangerous. But I mean, we still don't have a ton of stuff, so I think this is still a strong enough group. It'll be okay. And then we're also sneaking our profit into this province because we have the province, but we have not claimed the throne since we've lost it, so we need to get a claim on that. And we had 2 raids here from TNN. Obviously, like, a throne is a good province, like, to keep interrupting. So hoping to catch an Elven Raider here on top of this throne. And then the other big thing is there is an army here from Arcoscephalean. So I think this turn, either this turn or next turn, I'd been talking with him back and forth, and he said that he'd hit the research goals that he wanted to, and that he was going to be coming in and attacking TNN. And luckily TNN has raided back some of these provinces. You can see there's still a Kalem province down here. Hopefully, I don't know if Arcoscephalean was ever in contact with Kalem. Hopefully they talk to each other, and Arcoscephalean will just move through these provinces because there's no way Kalem is going to be holding them. This is a pretty convincing looking force. A lot of slingers, mainly slingers, which is good siege chaff, and okay with like flaming arrows, and against elves, we've talked about how ranged stuff can be good. So assuming they don't have arrow fend up yet, which we haven't seen, but it's been a little while since we've taken a major army engagement. And then a lot of their sacreds, right? That's the next largest components. And then, quite a few casters, I'm guessing. So Jade Maidens, an independent, and then Mystics. That's kind of like the standard Arcoscephalean caster. And then, this Oread is their capital only mage. So, a lot of stuff in this army. Like, this is the kind of help that I think is going to be good news. And part of why, we're sending a scout down towards Marverny. So I'm not really sure. I don't think that this army, not actually sure if they can move into this cave or not. But I'm not sure where it's going to go. Obviously, like, Marverny is a good target for anyone. But TNN also has like a fort down here. And then of course their capital is not that far. So we would like to pick up Marverny, basically. And we didn't really talk too much yet about, exchanging province lists or anything like that. Like it's kind of, we'll see. And I just figured, well, if he jumps on Marverny, then he jumps on Marverny. Then maybe I'll have a go at TNN. But if he doesn't jump on Marverny, like we're pretty close to Marverny, so if we can lock it down with some thugs ahead of time, we can kind of just plant our flag there and then bring up the army after that. To that end, we've been recruiting these Gigantes again, so we actually have a decent force, so we're bringing them up. They're nice and slow, so they're just going to move one province. Went ahead and threw this size hiding item on them, so TNN, I mean, they'll be able to, if they have a scout on my capital, which is a little difficult because there's a lot of patrolling, but if they do have a scout, then they'll see that they aren't on the capital anymore, but they won't know where they went. So they might think like, oh, maybe he's like headed north. Maybe this thing with Calum is getting more serious, right? And he's actually sending an army to the north. Or like maybe he'll think they're headed anyway. If he has a scout here, they won't actually see that all of the Gigantes are moving out this way. I have it. I figure might as well use it. I don't think it's gonna make a huge difference, but something kind of interesting. So anyway, we're gonna try to mass up an army here and then head down and try to take Marverny if we can. So continue to raid. Like we'll see. Obviously, like this is all very contingent on how things go with Arcoscephale. And then obviously like Atlantis is still in here. One thing that I think I forgot to mention is that Atlantis actually took their army and went north and attacked Niflheim, right? Because this used to be a Niflheim province. And so I'm not really sure like what the story is there. I'm not really in contact with Atlantis yet, and I hadn't been talking too much with Niflheim. So this is kind of an odd move to me. I mean, I guess maybe he's just trying to carve out like a bunch of coastline, and he's like not too worried. I mean, Atlantis is fairly powerful, right? So maybe he just feels he doesn't need to worry about attacking two people at once. But I don't know. It just seems, he attacked TNN and then he moved his army north and attacked Niflheim, like, and long before TNN is finished. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. In terms of globals, TNN casts Sea of Ice. So Sea of Ice means that you cannot move from land to sea or sea to land, except for teleportation. So if you're a water nation or a land nation and you have two labs, one underwater and one above water, then you can still teleport between them. But it blocks things like cloud trapeze and a lot of other like magical methods of movement, and then no regular movement. So this is kind of the classic middle finger to the underwater nations. If you're getting harassed by an underwater nation, you can put up Sea of Ice. Obviously it can be dispelled and etc., but it is pretty difficult to get around. If they already have a big land presence, then and it's far enough in the game, then they can kind of get around it with the teleportation stuff, gatewaying troops up and teleporting mages up. But not all mages have astral, and I'm sure it's still annoying. I've never actually played as an underwater nation, so I'm not sure how annoying, but I mean, not being able to move onto the land via normal means is a pretty big deal. This is kind of good news. I don't know, kind of bad news. It really depends, right? Like, I mean, obviously Atlantis attacking TNN is good for us, but Atlantis is pretty powerful and they're an underwater nation that we don't really want to deal with long term. And then the fact that they attack Niflheim, right, instead of continuing their attacks on TNN, I don't know. I'm going to put this in the win column, especially considering, it could have been something much worse for us since this is our opponent. So, I'm going to put this in the win column, but anyway, means that less support from Atlantis, probably no support, because I don't think they have any infrastructure over here. They may have, a lab somewhere else they can teleport to. I think that covers the majority of it. We don't really, we're scouting Mekone a little bit. They have some stuff. Still haven't caught any combat with this scout. He's kind of just cruising the world. This scout, found sort of the border here. So, it looks like Calum has eaten, a good chunk of Kailasa here and, has a decent border with Arcoscephale, and looks like Arcoscephale extends roughly back this way. Trying to bring this scout back so it can catch more of this conflict between Arcoscephale and TNN, because obviously that's going to be really important for us. And then recruitment is pretty much the same, bringing in more Gigantes, still working on our Cyclops. always the lizard shamans and the peltasts, and then we're actually starting to bring in a few Helit hoplites. So I think, these guys, their armor is heavy enough with Legions of Steel and things like that. TNN's units will struggle a bit to get through that protection. They still, they have the magic spears, pierce damage. They're still going to get damage through, but it'll be chippier, and these guys will definitely last longer. Now, I mean, they were not going to be able to connect, right, because their attack skill is totally mediocre. But, we will be able to mass these a little bit more easily than our giant hoplites, because these guys are pretty cheap. The main problem with these guys is they take a long, because they need a lot of resources, so it takes a while to get a lot of them. So, yeah, just want to build up a force of them and starting, and especially, too, since our peltasts are a lot less useful now, because every battle, perpetual storm. So the projectiles, it's just, projectiles tend to fall off later in the game anyway, due to people just normally casting storm. Perpetual storm just, cranks that to 11. So yeah, I think that covers turn 48. All right, Mekone turn 49. I forgot to mention that we were doing some crossbreeding. So yeah, using some of our blood slaves to bring in some more garbage, a little bit of siege chaff, a few interesting things. We've talked about most of that. So anyway, more of the same. Missing with arcane probing, so more of the same. Missing with some site searches, and then we're cleaning out disrespectful amounts of PD from Calum. And then, just a little bit of nothing from TNN. So, it was, and then there's actually no PD whatsoever in either of these two provinces, and these are both from TNN. And this is a good sign because he had previously been leaving like at least one PD. And I feel like usually if you leave no PD, that's, I think, either the sign of an inexperienced player or somebody who's really, really desperate for gold. And I don't think TNN is an inexperienced player. And something that I haven't really talked about is that I don't, like, TNN's scales that they took are not great. I'm not sure if we can really, these are our scales. We can't really see them, but I'm pretty sure he took some death scales, which is rough as the game goes farther along, because it significantly reduces your population and reduces the income you get. So possibly he's feeling some hurt from that. Obviously he has been fighting us for a while, and then of course Atlantis came in and attacked him and captured at least a couple of his provinces. So hopefully this is a sign that TNN is starting to struggle here. Regardless, we were able to take it. This was one of these was taken with our our garbage rating squad. I was gonna say absolutely minimal, but that's not strictly true, because this turn we're trying to one up that, and we're sending in just a lone commander in the hopes that there's absolutely no PD in this province. So just kind of rolling the dice. It's not impossible that a lone commander can beat one PD, but it's pretty unlikely. But if it's no PD, then he'll just take it. And then we had some unexpected events, of course. Demon worship. I don't know why this is unexpected. This is pretty normal. 3-headed calf. I think most of our cattle have 3 heads at this point. It doesn't seem to be too much of an issue. And then we found a few air gems, and then we found some more gems, and then just patrolling and etc. Although we did get a famous new hero, and he has soul butchering, and this is actually an ability that is pretty good. So let's see, does it actually tell you? Yeah, no, it doesn't really. It causes fear. So what it does is it gives a fear aura, just a basic fear aura. I think this is as small as they can be. Not 100% on that, but this is on the smaller side of fear auras. But nonetheless, fear is really useful just in general, but I think especially like for a thug, who's going to be clearing out province defense and etc. This is a really nice heroic trait to get. It's a shame we got it on a guy who already has an affliction. This isn't the worst affliction, and it does hurt. These guys, they have good HP, but not a ton to begin with. So that does hurt a bit, but can't complain about a really nice heroic ability. So that's cool. So he's going to hang out in site search. Most of our raiding groups, maybe like half of our raiding groups. So like these guys are going to hang out and search. This guy's going to hang out and search. These guys down here on the throne are actually just going to patrol because we've already searched here, and we're going to try to claim this. These guys may hang out here for a while to try to block any raiding from the throne claim. We'll see. I do really want to take this province back, but you can see here's Atlantis' army just kind of cruising around in Niflheim's territory. So we're sending a scout over to Niflheim. This is Niflheim's capital, so there's a good chance that this army is going to try to jump on top of it. So yeah, maybe Atlantis is thinking, TNN is maybe too difficult to take, or there's too many other people attacking him. Niflheim is not big, right? And he's got Ulm, so he does extend inland a bit. But yeah, I mean, similar to us, Niflheim is not massive, so maybe Atlantis thinking, he's just the easier target. But, you never know, this army could double back and take this. So yeah, we definitely don't want to bump with our thugs. So anyway, and then sending our cheap raid group down here to try to capture this, and then sending these guys along to capture this from the Spine Devils. And this will also set us up to have them try to jump on top of Marverni. So yeah, I'm going to try to send the thugs in first to reduce the chance that, when we send an army in, it's going to get, magic phase and jumped on. Like, the less sight that TNN has, in terms of our army moving out, the better. So yeah, this is something I think is probably good practice, and something I'm trying to get better at is essentially screening your main armies. Yeah, I mean, we saw what happened at Titan Steps, right? Where you send an army out by itself, with nothing in advance of it, and it got ambushed, right? So, gonna try to send some, still significant, right? We wouldn't love to lose this group, but this is something that kind of demands a response. But if we do lose it, it's not as devastating as losing our entire army again, right? So, gonna try to send something out that's a little more serious, but is a little more expendable ahead of our main group, to jump on top of Marverni. So they'll be set to do that. And it looks like Arcoscephale moved here this turn. They're in the process of elimination. So this was a TNN flag. We have a scout here. We have a scout here. Right? We can see that massive stack isn't here. So that's good news. They are probably headed for Titan Steps. That's, my guess here. So, sending our scout over there to try to catch that battle. And then, from there, they could try to move on to Marverni. I think I had talked with Arcoscephale. We definitely do, talk together and exchange province lists, probably roughly from this point forward. So, if I do jump on top of Marverni, that's something that, I'd let him know about. And honestly, I'd probably just let him take his pick, basically saying hey, you can have Marverni, or you can have TNN, either way. Probably I was pushing for me getting one. I really, I need to get something out of this war. I mean, I know I talked about, maybe picking up these 3 provinces, but that was more because there was just no way that Calum, right, if Calum really was going to extend down and eliminate TNN, Marverni was one of the main ways they were going to have to move through it, so I couldn't really reasonably ask for that. Arcoscephale has a much larger border, so yeah, it's a capital, but I mean, there's still a capital available for him. Also, Baratos is down here, right, and TNN, Baratos is the first person they ate, so, he's got 2 possible capitals. Granted, Baratos is fairly, it's not hugely far away, but it's farther away than Marverni. But I mean, at the same time, I do need to grab something out of this war to stay relevant, because this has taken a ton of time and energy, and so I need to get something. If he's gonna take everything, then it's well, I guess maybe I'm gonna have to fight Arcoscephale. But he was pretty reasonable. So yeah, we don't really have any issues there. So. But I do want to jump on it, as quickly as possible. It's, if you have a handshake agreement, that's all well and good. But, if you don't actually execute on it, sometimes people are well, if you can't hold up your end of the bargain, then I guess I'll just take it. So anyway, setting ourselves up, with these thugs to try to jump on top of Marverni. And then, hopefully Arcoscephale will be jumping on top of this fort next turn. And then, otherwise just pushing some scouts around. We are massing up the army here, right? So we have our Gigantes moving in. We have a ton of Peltasts, crossbreeding results, some of our whites. That's pretty much it. So, honestly, this isn't actually that many Peltasts. But But it's what we have. So when we'll get more. This is again part of why we're casting crossbreeding, because we're just going to need more units like to break down the walls. We do have the advantage, of course, of being giants, right? So strength is really high. Like these giants' siege strength is really good. So it isn't as tough for us to break down the walls with like smaller groups. But would like some garbage to screen for these guys. I mean, we've seen that. These guys alone are not going to handle a stack of TNN Sacreds. So, hopefully some of the rest of this stuff will help out. And we'll talk more about this army, when it actually moves out. But this is kind of what it's looking like right now. And then, we're bringing in some more casters and stuff as well. And then in terms of recruitment, more of the same, going back to Polemarchs. I don't think we even... Oh, doing a little Gigantes here, but of course, Lizard Shamans. And then, probably the same here. More Archons. And then, trying to build up some Helit Hoplites. So, I think that covers most of it. Maybe talk some... just forging, like, more Rings of Regeneration. That's mostly what we're forging right now. I don't think we're forging... making another Dwarven Hammer. We don't actually have that many Dwarven Hammers. Do we have any Dwarven Hammers? We have at least one. So a lot of our we have a couple, but a lot of our forging, especially early on, was done without hammers, which is, to be honest, like I might try a run where I don't make any hammers, because I have heard some people argue against Dwarven hammers. They are very expensive, so it takes quite a few forges before you actually break even on like any particular hammer. So I think it probably really comes down to like how much do you value earth gems versus the other gems that you're going to be saving from your forging. But regardless, we've been doing a significant amount of forging without hammers, and we would like to get some hammers, because especially like for our nature, we have very little nature income. Hopefully with the we'll get this throne claim to stick, right? Because we get 3 nature gems from this throne. And Rings of Regeneration. There's actually quite a bit of nature gear that we would like to forge. I don't know, some people like kind of talk about nature gems being less valuable. I don't really feel that way. I find no matter what nation I'm playing, I could always use more nature gems. So anyway, maybe that's just me, but that kind of covers, I think, most of our forging. And then continuing to kind of just slowly do some arcane probing. We really do need to get out there and do some more site searching. Our site searching is pretty abysmal. It's just hard to search, while while the elves rage through your lands. So we have gotten like, decent fire and earth searching, but we really need to get like this guy out there, for a little bit of water. And then, maybe some other guys for air. Our Cyclops that came out, he was a water random, which is nice. Like, I probably would prefer the air random. That's really like the guy we're looking for, because then, he can cloud trapeze. But I'll take the water random. That's something we don't have yet. So he can forge at a water 2 level, and, we'll be able to give him boosters. So he'll be able to forge pretty much all the water stuff, that we would need. So I'm not going to complain about getting a cross path that we didn't have. But really do want that air 2 guy, but we're going back to Polemarchs for now. The Cyclopses are really expensive. Our money situation still is not fantastic. We really are kind of relying on luck right now. Another reason that like Marburning would really, really help. I mean, another capital always helps, but things have not been going fantastic. I think that covers turn 49. All right, Mekone turn 50, finished research in Evocation 6, which is really nice. Get us Flame Eruption and a few other cool spells. Now we're going for Construction 5 and then to 6 for the Lanterns. And then we got the claim on the Throne of Life, so it was always nice, even though it's our third time claiming it. Anyway, it's still nice to see our goddess's name up there. And then we found an Enchanted Gate with Arcane Probing. I think this is just one Astral Pearl. Maybe we'll check later. We'll see. And then Dire Portents, of course. This is Maelstrom, I think, from Atlantis. So this is a gem generator, and I forget exactly. I'll have to look up how many gems it generates, but I do remember it's a good one. So this is not good. Obviously Atlantis is really powerful, and they they kind of border us on and off. So them getting more powerful is not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. So anyway, and then more crossbreeding. We need more siege chaff. And then our searching, we didn't find anybody. We didn't find any sites, and we didn't find any elves either. So unsuccessful there. But yeah, we take this back. There's just one spawn devil here, so no problem there. And then there was a battle in Titan Steppes between TNN and Arcoscephale, and this was a big one, a real big one. So this is good news for us. You want to see your allies fight, obviously, because if Arcoscephale does too well, then they'll just turn around and try to eat us. And of course, now we know where TNN's huge, massive sacreds are. And I believe their god is in here. Yeah, and we've seen him before. So he's got some fire gems, probably flaming arrows. That's what he did before. He's got a smattering of gear. I think this is mostly just survivability. He's just a squishy rainbow. And then he's got a bunch of his cap only casters. Let's see, some nature gems here, more nature gems, a lot of nature gems, air gems. So it could be a storm. He doesn't really have enough mages here for a ton of Thunderstrike spam. But I think these ladies are probably going to be more focused around buffing the army up. He does have a few of these Furbolg druids in front here. Looks like, they all have earth boots. That's a decent amount of investment. They're pretty weak earth casters normally, but they're probably for strength of giants and legions of steel, so they're up here to make sure that they buff all of his sacreds as they move forward. And he's got a few dogs here to mess with things, and we know all about that. And then Arcoscephale has a long line of slingers here, so they're not going to be great, but there are a crap ton of them, so they should bring down the glamour and etc. And then he has a ton of these wind riders, and then his mage core is really clustered, which can kind of go either way. So I usually prefer to spread them out a little more than this. This kind of freaks me out a little bit. One Thunderstrike gone array, and that's quite a few mages that you're losing, but it does mean they're easier to buff. If you do one square buffs on them, you can get quite a few mages in one spell cast, so that's pretty efficient. Here's his cap only mage. She's got a ton of nature gems, so possibly we're going to see mass protection from both sides. I think that's totally doable. And then these guys can pretty much, I think they're all astral, so we're probably going to see a massive communion going down here. Doesn't really look like there's a whole lot of gems. I'm seeing a few spirit helms, and that is possibly, it's just a useful item. It's a little expensive, right? 15 air gems kind of hurts. It's a good helmet, but it just casts lightning bolt, and that may be anti-assassin tech because TNN does get some pretty nasty assassins. He hasn't really been doing that against us. Our being giants is nice because our mages and commanders are a little harder to assassinate, so that might be why he hasn't been using his assassins. But squishy little humans, and even these Oreads, they don't have a lot of hit points. But they'll be useful in battle here too. So maybe. And then he just has some Jade Maidens, independent recruits, but they are sacred, so they're going to benefit from his bless. But probably mostly relying on the Wind Riders, it looks like. So we'll see. Communion is going to go down. I think that was probably summon storm power. Some of the sacreds are just going right in. There's the dogs. They're so fast. That's probably from the Spirit Helm, the lightning. Okay, so hang on. We have a Howl going down. This is from TNN. So that is definitely going to cause some havoc. It may delay the Wind Riders. We'll see. I'm not sure if the Wolves will show up quickly enough. But this mage cluster, it could get a little scary. These guys could definitely get taken out by some wolves. So it depends on what kind of buffs get put on them. And then, of course, the slingers. It's interesting. It looks like he decided to divide his sacreds, right? So one line of sacreds and just a sparse line is going for it right away. Maybe looking to just soak up, some of the sling fire and evocations. Definitely an expensive way to soak up evocations, although that might be what the dogs are for, because obviously, they got in a lot faster, and they did soak up the first round of those lightning bolts. That looks like mass protection. Maybe. No, not mass protection. Oh, Serpent's Blessing. That must be what that was. So let's take a look at Arcoscephale's Bless. I'm not sure if we've looked at it. I've certainly forgotten it if we have. So yeah, attack skill 2, magic weapons is nice. Shock resistance 10 could be really relevant. Defense skill 5 is pretty hefty and very nice. Always good getting defense on cavalry. Strength 2 is nice. Maybe a little on the light side for strength, but with Blood Surge, once they do get the kill, that's going to increase their strength considerably. So yeah, this is a fairly heavy bless, not, crazy, not a hell bless or anything like that, but yeah, I think this is a solid bless for sure. No fire resistance, no cold resistance, so, those are holes to consider in case we ever have to tangle with Arcoscephale, but yeah, overall, like, these guys are going to be real scary. They are size 4, right, so it's only 1 per square, so it's a little hard. The attack density, so that's Gifts of Heaven, and that is almost assuredly coming from Arcoscephale. So yeah, anytime you have Earth Astral, you bring down the meteors and deleted at least a couple Wind Riders, and that's definitely an advantage of getting mixed in, right? So I think TNN sending his Sacreds forward and the Dogs forward really early, that is one way to mess up evocations. And then of course so Solar Eclipse coming out from the Frost Father, TNN's god. And he has Dark Vision, I think maybe just built in. I can't remember offhand. But yeah, of course, yeah, we know about TNN's Bless. It's pretty serious. These Sacreds are really scary. It looks like he got Arrow Fend up, right? Is that, yeah, and Fog Warriors as well. Yeah, so this is going to be really tough. Now, of course, magic weapons on the Bless here is really a big deal. If Arcoscephale did not have that, then that would really, Fog Warriors would be really, really nasty. That looks like it might have been, yeah, mass protection. So Serpent's Blessing, definitely a good idea, right? I've been really worried about Foul Vapors, the meteors coming down. Foul Vapors isn't coming up, but yeah, it's definitely a smart thing to be casting. Mass protection is nice, but of course, the Flaming Arrows is going to be a little worse. That said, like, these guys' protection is so high, I don't think the fire weakness is really going to matter all that much for the slings, right? Because slings just don't deal that much damage. If TNN had more fire evocation, it might be kind of nasty. Spirit Helms, definitely doing some work there. That's Flame Eruption right there. So that's pretty serious. And it looks like TNN also put down Mass Protection, right? Which is, it's a good spell. But something like Flame Eruption, you can see a lot of guys disappeared. There's no flying. Oh, right, of course, because it's Storm, Perpetual Storm. I'm like, we cast Storm, but yeah, always Storm. So his Sacreds can't fly, which is definitely hurts. And then, of course, yeah, see, like, there's a situation where, like, yeah, Mass Protection, they still didn't actually take that much damage. So, this guy did. So Flame Eruption does quite a bit of damage. So I think the fire susceptibility there could start to matter. Of course, like, the meteors, especially, like, with the lowered precision, they're going to be going all over the place. Doesn't really look like how, yeah, there's a few wolves, like, building up over here. Arco has lost most of their Sacreds on this side. And then, yeah, Arcoscephale did not get Flaming Arrows, so their Slingers are significantly less useful. Although, against Protection 18, right, because he got Mass Protection up, I don't know, with the susceptibility to fire, maybe. Some more Flame Eruption, there's some good meteors there. And then, yeah, those Spirit Helms just keep on trucking. I think the monkeys might be out of ammunition. And then the Slingers are routing, that's not surprising. That might be an HP route. Because, yeah, these Wind Riders are now routing as well. And it looks like, yeah, so it looks like Arcoscephale has routed. Actually, there are quite a bit of wolves stacked up over here. But they didn't mess with the casters, I have to say. Like, this casting ball here really kind of worked out pretty well. And then, yeah, TNN, of course, also doing, Falling Fires. That might have been Friendly Fire. But, yeah, TNN also casting some Lightning Bolt. Now that these casters have finished, probably it's these ones. Maybe one of them was advancing. And yeah, so that works out for TNN, which is not good news for us. So yeah, 11 Mystics, like, that hurts. It's not the end of the world. Like, these guys aren't slow to recruit. They come out of any fort, and they're 135 golds. They're not expensive, but they're not cheap either. So, I mean, anytime you lose 11 mages, that hurts. They got a lot of kills. Some of those were friendly. The meteors, they just don't care. The Jade Maidens did not give a good showing for themselves. I don't know. I'm really just not convinced. They really struggle because they have lower strength than... Like, this is lower strength. well, I don't know, I should be careful. Maybe militia are pretty bad, but this is like a militia level strength. Otherwise, like their stats are good. They can kind of hold the line pretty well, kind of. They don't have great protection. Anyway, they carry your bless. You can recruit them. They're not the worst, but they didn't really do anything here. The slingers didn't do much, but that's kind of expected. They're just there for siege chaff. And the Wind Riders got quite a few kills, but he lost over half of them, and that does really hurt. These guys are pretty expensive. Like, it's 55 gold just for a unit. Like, there are mages that are cheaper than that. And then these guys are cap only as well, right? So he's fairly limited in how many he can bring in. So this is not a loss that he can like quickly replace. So that does really hurt. I mean, in the good news department, right, his Aureate escapes. A few mystics do escape. He doesn't lose all of his Wind Riders. Like, there's still a decent chunk of Wind Riders that escaped. Quite a few of his slingers escaped, which is, it's fine. It's not a bad thing. And then, for TNN, he lost all his dogs. He doesn't care about that. So he had some She Warriors. I wonder if that might have been the first line, actually, or maybe he just had them mixed in general. He lost like a little over half of those, and like a little over half of his sacreds, who did, the majority of the killing. And his casters didn't really do too much killing, but again, they were focused on, buffing the army. This hurts a lot, for TNN, right? Cause it's the same kind of thing, right? These guys are cheaper, right? But of course, TNN might be having gold problems, because he's been leaving some provinces with no province defense, and he's been fighting for a long time. So, this might actually be harder from a gold standpoint for him to replace. Although, Arcoscephale definitely lost more in terms of gold, no question, in this battle. But in the same way, these guys are capital only, so it's going to be hard for him to replace these losses. So. This is definitely clearly a loss for Arcoscephale. It says right here, it was defeated. And I think that's accurate. But it wasn't a horrible loss. This is a battle of attrition that Arcoscephale can probably win, especially with our help. And then, maybe considering that TNN also has to deal with Atlantis. So not really sure, what Arcoscephale could have done differently. I do think that Perpetual Storm being up probably hurt them. It's hard to say, having a squad of his Wind Riders being able to do attack rear and attack TNN's casters, I think would have been helpful, probably. But of course, that's not on the table because Perpetual Storm is up. So, it wasn't a terrible. I'm not sure about the meteors. I don't know. Meteors. It can be a really useful spell, right? It's a way to kill things that otherwise you can't kill. But using them in an army, and that said, a lot of those meteors were probably off script, because the AI. It's one of those spells it likes to cast because it just looks at. I'm guessing it looks at it and it's like, hey, this has a really high likelihood of killing if it hits. Let's go for that. It's like the damage output is through the roof. It's like, yes, but some of that damage is going to be against us. Using the meteors when you have your own really high value stuff, I don't know. It always scares me. Was that the best thing for his communion to be doing? That said, he did put down a lot of good stuff, right? He put down Serpent's Blessing, which totally makes sense. He put down Mass Protection, so he has much better research than I do. And I don't think this is overcommitment in terms of mages either. So I don't know. I don't think Arcoscephale did badly. It's just these sacreds are really tough from TNN. This is a really serious bless. He's invested in it. And a well-scripted battle, I think, from TNN as well. So overall, that is good still, right? Because TNN took a lot of losses. That is what we need to see. That is really the help that we need. And then also in the good news department, this is our Fellspawn squad. So they're just rolling forward, capturing undefended provinces. And then in the bad news department, this province was not undefended. The one PD, we just sent our commander in and he died. He killed the one militia, but then there is a Furbolg champion who kicked his butt. So anyway, that did not work out. And then, yeah, speaking of luck, so this is in Hinnom, 200% tax increase. This is really nice. Like, this is where we want to see these kind of events. And then, yeah, some people running away because of demons. And then this is also huge. So this is plus 400% tax in Mekone. So that's both of our capitals had, plus tax income events, which is really huge. Like, yeah, luck is a good income scale. It's not a consistent income scale, right? You don't control when this stuff happens. So sometimes it's like, man, I really, really need gold. Come on, luck. And then it's just like, how about some astral pearls? So, it's inconsistent, but it does get you quite a bit of gold. So yeah, and luck 3, it's a thing. And then, yeah, 3-headed calves. And then, yeah, this is not really thematic for the Spartan giants. And then we had a festival. That's cool. Gaining dominion. That's nice. And then our scout got patrolled out. This is how we saw that battle. And then some starvation because I didn't really plan ahead massing my army here, and giants eat a lot, and this is not a great province. The only reason we have a fort here is for these sweet lizard shamans, which are absolutely worth a little starvation. So yeah, what are we up to? Moving most of our raiding groups out. We didn't catch anybody, sadly. So yeah, we're going to recapture this from Calum. We're also sending a commander in because we are hoping to start building a fort. So you can see we have quite a bit of gold still. We don't really have the infrastructure to spend all this gold that we're getting from our luck events, and also we can't actually recruit, but there's Bone Tribe here. I know there's Bone Tribe here, and so that's going to help with our death access, and it maybe open up some interesting death air stuff. Definitely will require some empowerment, so that's like a way down the road sort of thing, but would like to get another fort. This is not like a terrible location. It'll help us control our northern territory more easily, against raiding and etc. So yeah, it's not a good province, unfortunately, but like most of the provinces up here aren't great. Maybe a fort here, like this is kind of on the periphery of our territory, and it gives us a lot of income. And I've talked before about how Mekone doesn't necessarily want to put forts on their best income provinces. I'm not, I'd heard that. And I understand the logic of it, right? Because, your forts generate unrest, and that's going to cut into your income. And, we've talked about this plenty. But, at the end of the day, the reason that you fort valuable provinces is so that it's harder to raid them away from you. And so I'm just not convinced, right? I'm a cone. Here it is under TNN's flag. We're not getting any money from it right now. So I'm not convinced that, even with the issues of Mekone's forts, I think you still may want to fort valuable provinces as Mekone, and you're just going to have to suck it up and rely on luck 3, So anyway, we're going to put a fort here in this worthless province because we want Bone Tribe, and yeah, maybe we'll make more money because we don't have a fort here, but am definitely starting to reconsider this. Obviously, as Mekone, you're not always going to fight a war against the elves where you get raided a ton, but raiding is a huge part of Dominions. So anyway, starting to reconsider my thoughts a little bit on like where Mekone wants to put their forts and, avoiding high income provinces. But yeah, for now, want to raid this back, put a fort here. Moving this group out, they're going to go retake this valuable province eventually. Our foul spawn squad moves forward, and we're just going for it because if we lose them, who cares? And the more that we can annoy TNN, we definitely want to take some pressure off Arcoscephalean. I'd hit him up and was like, uh-oh, and he was fairly confident, he definitely, I don't think he's been fighting any wars, right? He's kind of been turtling. So, he has a lot of resources built up. Like he can definitely replace those losses. So he wasn't actually too worried. But any kind of pressure that we can take off of him, I think is just, sort of a respectful thing to do as an ally, and just useful for our own survival, right? We definitely, if Arcoscephalean goes down, we're in big trouble. And then of course, this is an excellent time to jump on top of Marverni. So that's what we're going to try to do with, one of our heavier raiding squads. Now, this is an older one, so it's got the Gigantes, but, it doesn't have any rings of regeneration. And of course, nobody has any AoE weapons. So we'll see how it goes. We do have, it's not scripted, but we do have Flame Eruption, and the AI does actually like to cast Flame Eruption. So this guy on Advance and Cast Spells will probably throw out some Flame Eruptions, and that will help a lot in terms of us not being able to connect with the elves. So it may be the case that these guys kind of just hold the line, and they'll kill PD well enough. But anyway, they'll hold the line, and then hopefully this guy will kill any elves that we bump into. And of course, like, it is possible, right? So the big stack of Sacreds is here. If that big stack of Sacreds moves onto Maverne and patrols, then we're going to lose this heavy raiding squad. That's, just the nature of it. I'm thinking that, it could happen, right? Because he can see that this squad is here. That said, right, like, this squad has been moving around and recapturing, and, right, it could sit here and site search. Like, I've done a lot of different things. It's not necessarily going to jump on top of this fort. That's kind of a dangerous move, and if I don't have an army to back it up, which he may or may not know about, right? If I don't have an army to back this move up, then it doesn't make a ton of sense. It is an attractive raid just from a raid standpoint, but especially considering that his stack is right here, it's not really a sustainable raid. So I'm hoping that he's not expecting it. And then, we should be moving out. Yeah, we're moving out our army this turn. Most of this stuff we have seen. Let's see. We have a communion, a lizard shaman communion here. Sadly, we do not have the research for Serpent's Blessing, so we're doing the budget version where this guy's just gonna spam out Poison Ward a bunch. He's just kind of in the center. He's hopefully gonna hit all of our casters and then some of our Gigantes. We're gonna, if we get Foul Vapor's trapped, it's gonna hurt. So maybe we shouldn't be moving out at the same time. Like, we can't just sit in our fort and do nothing, especially when, like, this is the moment, I think, right? Like, there's just a major battle. Like, TNN's only going to get stronger if we just sit and do nothing. Moving out. The other guy, let's see, I think we only have the 2 masters. Yeah, relatively small communion, only 4 slaves, so they're only going to get boosted 2 levels. And this guy is kind of just the communion leader, I consider him, right? Like, his job is to try to keep the communion slaves alive, basically. So he's going to be putting on, just personal buffs, especially like personal regeneration. And then, once he's finished, hopefully he'll cast some other useful stuff. Power of the Spheres is really nice because, again, it'll help keep them alive, boost their paths up. This is definitely like a little light on the masters, but I don't have a ton of lizard shamans, so I would really prefer to not burn this communion out. So maybe not really doing enough with it, but because, this is bringing out, 6 mages, and only 2 of them are really going to be casting, and one of them is just going to be focused on keeping these other 4 alive. So, once he finishes, so it's like 1.5 casters, for 6 mages coming out. This is kind of one of the issues with communions. Anyway, that's what we have. So hopefully the Poison Ward will keep our most important units and commanders alive if we do get hit with Foul Vapors. We are going to be holding and attacking, so that's a little scary in terms of, like, if we get hit with like a Wrathful Skies trap or a Foul Vapors trap, having these guys hold means they're just going to get hit, by that longer. That said, I do want to get on, like, Legions of Steel, Strength of Giants, all the normal kind of buffs that we've been doing, so probably worth it. We do have some Maws of the Earth casts. It's what we have. It is good. It definitely didn't work last time, so we'll see. In terms of like new things, so we have just our random squad of garbage foul spawn, but we also have a basilisk up here, so we're gonna have a little bit of Gaze of Death all the way in the front, hopefully well away from our army. There is always the pop. This basilisk is almost assuredly going to Gaze of Death himself, along with his foul spawn buddies. That's fine. Hopefully, he'll be done and or dead, before the rest of our army moves up, and we don't eat too many friendly fire Gaze of Deaths. But yeah, I think we need something. So hopefully this will kill some TNN Sacreds, and then these guys mostly just siege chaff. whatever javelins they do manage to connect with, great, but Storm is really going to reduce their usefulness. And then especially too, we saw TNN cast Aerofend, right? So again, like the Peltasts have really like fallen off. Like their period of usefulness, other than just numbers to break down fort walls, has kind of passed. They're still not the worst combatants, but just with the really low protection, without us being able to get some protection buffs on them, yeah. Anyway, but we got them, so here they come. And then some more. This is our like better foul spawn, right? So a lot of these guys can do poison spits, which TNN doesn't. I don't know if they did. Let's check real quick if they did Serpent's Blessing. They don't have poison resistance on their bless. He patrolled out. So a lot of people Russ saw that battle. Caleb saw that battle. And then of course we saw that battle. So yeah, people are interested in big battles. So let's check real quick to see. Does he get Serpent's Blessing? He gets a lot of stuff. Fog Warriors. That's going to hurt. But yeah, so no poison resistance. Let's roll a little forward. And it looks like it wasn't just the She Warriors in the first wave. I was a little curious about that. So yeah, so he's not doing Serpent's Blessing. He probably could, or it is maybe not too far away from it. But anyway, he didn't do it in that battle. That was a big battle, like if he could bring in, I don't think Arcoscephalia is really normally a nation that can do Foul Vapors. That said, he brought a bunch of Jade Maidens, and Jade Amazons definitely can do Foul Vapors. So, yeah, I just feel like if it's something that he had researched, he threw out enough army-wide buffs, he probably would have done that. So anyway, this isn't like a ton of poisoning that we're going to be doing, but it's going to be some. So, another threat vector that'll hopefully help us out. And so, yeah, that's this group. And they're going to be hopefully traps behind, because they're undisciplined, right? So they're just going to run in, and you can't give them any orders. But I mean there is definitely some gaps, so they're probably going to start to filter around the edges. But anyway, you can trap undisciplined units behind disciplined, a long enough line of disciplined units, so that you kind of force the undisciplined units to attack when you want them to. So anyway, that's the hope here with these guys, because they're a little more valuable. And then we have like our regenerating guys who probably aren't really going to do much. We don't have enough buffs like really for them to matter, but they are like more valuable, so screw it, have them back here in this squad. And then let's see, we this is me just not internalizing Perpetual Storm, or whatever it's called. So I'm thinking like, like these guys, he has a fire breath, and this guy has like the petrifying gas, and they can attack rear immediately and mess up. Nope, they don't have Stormflyer. So yeah, this is actually really dangerous. This could go badly. But in my mind, it's gonna help, mess up TNN's formation. But no, that will never happen. And then we have another undisciplined squad here. So yeah, these guys, we're hoping to have them use their web abilities, like shoot webs, over this. They're down here, so shoot webs over the line. And then of course, elves don't like being webbed up. A lot of what they rely on is their high defense. So yeah, and then this guy just has a fear aura. So cool. We have him in this squad, and he's going to provide some fear. And then in terms of our spell casting, like mostly clustered in the center here, focused on like falling fires and then advance and cast spells. This is just a good AoE fire evocation. We saw Arcoscephalia use it in that last battle to good effect. And then of course we also have flame eruption, so hopefully they're going to be casting some of that with the advance and cast spells. And then this guy just a little bit of fire cloud and incinerate, and sure, why not incinerate. We want to mix in, TNN may have some thugs mixed in, right? And we've seen incinerate can be pretty good against them. Throwing in some flaming arrows, because sure, why not? The Peltasts aren't going to be great, but might as well make them a little bit better. You can see that some projectiles, it's not like Storm makes them completely worthless, right? Now, I mean, that said, Storm plus Aerofend does make it really kind of, so maybe this is just a waste of fire gems, but hey, I don't know, it's a spell that we have, we can do it, we have ranged units. A few blade winds, and then I think that more or less covers it in terms of like casting support. So yeah, this is what we're bringing. Is it enough to take on? I don't think we would have won against the army that Arcoscephale just lost to, because Arcoscephale brought better spell casting than we can to the table, and they lost. And honestly, their sacreds are probably stronger than our gigantes in a lot of ways. So, stronger troops, better spell casting support, and they lost. However, TNN just lost, over half of their sacreds, right? So, it's like there's just not going to be a better time to strike, I think. So, we're moving out. It's what we have, right? We're hopefully going to screen with, our thugs here. And we're going to go for it. So yeah, in other news, there was an Atlantean army here, and now there's Mr. Freeze and his Nephil giant pals. So I'm very sad that I missed this. It's possible that Atlantis' army moved here, but I don't know why they would have. I think they already own this province. So yeah, I actually don't remember. I'll have to double check in the editing. So yeah, maybe they moved here, but I would say that they're being chased right now. And we've seen like Niflheim they bring some scary stuff. So yeah, if it was a battle, sad that I missed it. But yeah, I'd say Niflheim is not as in as much trouble as maybe I thought, because this is a pretty convincing looking force, and that's good news. Like I said, I'm not really interested in Atlantis gaining like a big foothold. That would not be good. So yeah, I think that covers the majority of it. Our scout over here did actually find something a little bit interesting. So this is Helheim's capital, and it looks like Mekone is actually in a war. Can't imagine that they diplomatically agreed to having, two of their cap circle provinces in someone else's hands. So it looks like Mekone and Helheim are fighting. Not super relevant for us, but it is a little interesting. Do like to try to keep an eye on the world at large. And then speaking of that, so it's every 5 turns, going to try to, take a look at everything that's going on. So this is our research. Super miserable, even more miserable than normal because we're moving an army out. So we have more mages in action. But yeah, we're looking for those lanterns, and then let's see, not sure. Oh yeah, enchantment 6. Mostly looking at this dragon teeth. This gives us some like magic summons. And it's a good spell. It's a good way to spend earth gems. And then, this is also going to give it like Aerofen, like just useful stuff. And then, of course, if we do make it to 7, which we don't have queued up yet, but, Serpent's Blessing is here, which is always relevant. Foul Vapors is always a problem. Earthblood Deep Well would be nice. I think Therados has it right now. Anyway, let's answer that question. Yes, Therados has that. So yeah, the global situation, Arcoscephale has some of the more minor generators, right? This is Nature Gems, Astral Pearls, Therados. This is a good generator, but not crazy. Kalem, of course, with his Perpetual Storm, making air elementals better and making it easier for air nations to hit you with a bunch of lightning, also screwing over our Peltasts. And then, Maelstrom. So Atlantis has that. That's a gem. We can take a look here. So yeah, 15 water, 5 astral, 3 air, and 1 of each other gem type. But you do need to put 80 water gems into it at minimum. So it does take a second to pay for itself, but still, this is quite a few gems. It's a powerful global, definitely. And then, of course, TNN with Sea of Ice, which is nice. We do appreciate that, TNN, even though you're trying to eat us. So, yeah, that's the global situation. And then, yeah, this is our income. Whoa, pretty miserable. Turn 50? Yeah, no, this is not good gem income. And, yeah, this just kind of highlights that our searching is not fantastic. That said, we do at least have income across every gem type, and that is something, honestly, like maybe I focus a little too much on. I like to try to find a use for every gem with every nation, and I don't really do a lot of trading with other players. And I know there's a lot of people out there that do a lot of trading because it's just easier for certain nations to take advantage of certain gems. So maybe I should be doing more trading, right? And, less focus on like making sure that I have income of all types and, how do I use income of all types. But, even if you end up trading, right, you need something to trade. So, having gem income is good. And, we do have access to everything. Actually, a pretty decent, pile of astral pearls. Again, mostly because we can't really use it effectively. We just have our lizard shamans. And I think we have one or two other random astral casters from luck events, completely out of nature gems. So our income has jumped thanks to the throne, so that's good, but it's still not. This is not good income, but we'll try to improve it. And then just a random grab bag of gear. A lot of this we've gotten from luck events. There's the Bane Venom charm just hanging out. Thanks a lot, Machaka, and or maybe Kalem. Don't know the original source of this guy. And then some of this is just some gear that we had on our goddess, I think. And then this was just a mistake that I forged, and I think most of the rest of it is just random event gear. So most of our gear is out there on our polo marks. So at least doing a decent job of not having a bunch of gear just sitting in the lab. So and then actually we have one more thing we can check. Let's take a look at. Oh wait, no, we can't. Maybe when we recapture this, we can take a look at the graphs again. I was gonna try to do that every 5 turns as well, but TNN got in the way of that. So I think that covers turn 50.